Inside Gaming is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Don't let hackers steal your financial details. Secure your data at expressvpn.com/inside.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Inside Gaming Daily for Tuesday. We know that the Xbox Series X and S released today. We're going to talk about something different in today's video, okay? The Marvel's Avengers game. Look, we know better than anyone when the consoles come out. It's all we've talked about for 5 months. Get off our backs.
Yeah,
Thank you,
fuck you, the audience.
Came out just a little more than 2 months ago, but in that short amount of time, it has turned into a flaming trash pile for Square Enix.
And this is where Brian writes words that get us in trouble.
God damn it.
Yeah.
It's already cost the company tens of millions of dollars, and there are some very bad signs about the health of the game's player base. It was kind of supposed to be Square Enix's big games as service product, like Destiny 2 or Call of Duty Warzone, and it was based on a red-hot IP that spawned some of the biggest movies of all time. What could go wrong?
Well, Patrick, I'm so glad you asked. Everything.
That's
to
a lot.
recap, Avengers launched in September to fair reviews. Critics liked the short single-player campaign that centered around the adventures of Miss Marvel, but pretty much everyone felt like the online looter portion of the game was way too much of a grind and that not much has improved in the months since.
Really quick now, there is that really dope Avengers-themed Five Gum ad
commercial,
with Lily
yeah.
Pichu. As somebody who's a gamer, that appeals to me.
It makes you feel like what it's to chew 5 gum.
Yes, it makes you feel like
No, that was good.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, we got
it makes you feel like Batman gum.
But as players continue to abandon Avengers, it looks like the game might win the ignominious title of this year's Anthem, which really nobody wants.
So, let's take a look at exactly how bad things have gotten. Square Enix recently reported their quarterly earnings, and that's where we gotta look at how bad things are. Connor, you're kind of our quarterly earnings person, why don't you?
Yeah, I'd love to talk numbers. So yeah, their HD Games division, which made Avengers, reported a $62 million loss during the quarter that they released Avengers. And then I hit like a big mad money button. It's like,
Yes.
sucks, or whatever those say.
Sell.
Boom! I've got a big poop I gotta make. They didn't share specific sales numbers for the games, but those numbers give a pretty clear idea that the game did not hit expectations.
So anyways, Japan-based analyst David Gibson wrote that those figures suggested that Avengers cost Square Enix almost $190 million to produce and market, but sold only around 3 million units.
Well, Austin-based Blaine Gibson said nothing about it, but we think he's cool and our friend. Shout out.
Shout out to Blaine.
So David Gibson wrote, why someone didn't say stop post the multiplayer beta will remain a mystery. He's referring to the game's beta in August where there were a ton of server issues, but more discouragingly, players complained of a lack of content and button mashing gameplay. Ooh.
No. People complained that the gameplay was overly grindy and the missions were just not that much fun.
So regarding people complaining about that core gameplay loop in Avengers, they're not gonna stick around if they don't fix it or make it satisfying. Just ask Anthem. Square, though, isn't giving up on Avengers. Gibson added that the company is adamant that they can make a recovery. I'm really getting some Anthem hot flashes here. If there's one thing we know how to cover, these are tea leaves that I'm confident we can all read.
Yeah.
Anthem storm a brewing.
So
Clouds look real low.
Say, them clouds in the distance. Which makes sense given how big the Avengers property is and how much they've already invested in it. Nobody wants to be the person at Square Enix responsible for screwing this up because it could be a disaster for the entire company, and they probably paid so much money for that license.
Last month, the company spoke about the shrinking player numbers, but said it's confident players will
players are
return to the
shrinking.
game.
Help! No! They gotta set it to W! So later that month, developer Crystal Dynamics put out a blog post confirming that the next-gen versions of Avengers would be delayed until 2021, firmly past when anyone gives a about the Avengers anymore. They also said that the Kate Bishop expansion would be delayed too. And to that I say, stick the knife in me and twist it ever deeper.
You were waiting.
Crystal
You were pretty
Dynamics.
excited about that one then?
Oh,
I
you
was-
wanted the Kate Bishop DLC.
Yeah.
I was waiting until the Kate Bishop DLC to jump in, and I
I'm
just...
sorry, Zach.
It's okay.
Oh,
what
man.
am I gonna do? Play Cyberpunk in the meantime?
Wow, 2020 must be a really bad year for you then.
They acknowledged that the game had issues, saying that the launch was not without turbulence, and we recognize that a number of issues detracted from your enjoyment of the game. They went on to say, this does not align with Crystal Dynamics' value of craftsmanship, and for that we sincerely apologize.
They said that the team has been heads down fixing bugs and tuning key gameplay systems, but they're going to have a tough hill to climb if they want to rescue the Avengers.
Now it's the Avengers who need rescuing.
Yes, on this new episode
Oh,
of
the
the
tables
Avengers.
have turned.
The Avengers need rescuing,
Look,
and
the
by
Avengers.
whom? Dr. Doom.
Regarding that, tough hill to climb to save the Avengers, because if you look at the game's player base on Steam, it's pretty much fallen off a cliff, which will make climbing up that hill a lot harder. At launch, the game peaked at more than 28,000 players and then almost immediately dropped off. I don't mean to say this with a grin on my face like that's a good thing. It's just funny that that's the way that this went for an Avengers title.
And in case you're wondering just how bad it was, very, extremely. It regularly dips below 500 players nowadays. And today it hit an all-time low of just 386 players. That is a huge problem for an online multiplayer game.
It is ahead of Division 2, though. The game does allow you to have AI teammates to make up for that paltry player base, but you still need to play with other humans to beat the toughest parts of the game.
They're more mutants. Or superhumans.
Well, not in all cases.
Yeah, true.
Sometimes it's just Cliff, whatever Hawkeye's name is, Cliff Blazinski.
Jeremy Renner.
Okay, well, Cliff Blazinski is definitely a human.
And he has excellent bow skills. Next.
Meanwhile, if you look at Destiny 2 on Steam, which games like Avengers and Anthem are clearly trying to pattern themselves after, it's got a far more robust player base, averaging over 50,000 players last month. I mean, players have so many options nowadays that if a game like Avengers doesn't hook people immediately, they'll just leave for greener pastures, of which there are many.
Yeah, Destiny is still out there. Destiny is still out there constantly updating stuff. Every time it updates, there's a bunch of hype and a lot of people jump in, and then it teeters off towards the end of like a expansion's life cycle or whatever, but then they put out another one and it just shoots back up again, like it will today. Of course, the game is also on consoles and Stadia, but they don't report their numbers, so yeah. We're sure Stadia has added dozens of players to that total count, though. So we checked Twitch this morning to see how many people were watching Avengers, and it had a grand total of 133 viewers. More people were watching Grim Fandango and Ring Fit Adventure than Avengers. Not great.
Not awesome for your big live service games, Square Enix. Now, there is some precedent for games that got off to a bad start but ended up turning things around. No Man's Sky did it after a disastrous launch in 2016. Square Enix's own Final Fantasy XIV also managed to pull it off, but that involved completely taking the game offline for nearly a year before relaunching. And if you think people don't care now, oh no.
That's literally an example of a game that took the thing entirely off the rails to the point where when you look at lists of the best Final Fantasy games, they split that game into two games, and Final Fantasy XIV Original is like way down at the bottom, and Final Fantasy XIV now as it is like closer to the top. So in this lineage of banger games, we recently had Anthem, and what was BioWare's attempt at a live service game, with flying Iron Man-esque suits, so it's in the same ballpark. Okay, it's in the same league. But like Avengers, its player base quickly dwindled because of a lack of content and core issues with the game. So they're still trying to turn things around over there at the good ship Anthem, but that has not happened yet. We'll let you know if we see that coming down the horizon.
I'm sure we will
be the first to let you know.
Yeah. As for Square Enix, we know that they have experience turning a live service game around, but with Final Fantasy XIV, it was extremely difficult, and company executives said that the bad launch did great damage to Final Fantasy as a brand.
And great damage as a brand is not really something they're looking to replicate with Avengers, one of the most valuable properties in all of media, in all of media history. Marvel probably doesn't have the patience to sit through a years-long reboot of the game, so Square Enix could be running out of time. Come on, Disney, just give it to EA again. That'll work out.
Oh, God.
I want an epic Mickey Avengers crossover. Make it happen. Now! This is so obvious. You're leaving money on the table.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Inside Gaming Daily for Monday. Let's clap it up for the Xbox Series X. It's almost here. Lots of people were posting screenshots of their orders getting shipped, and some have even gotten theirs early. Oh, the bastards.
They can play Game Pass early. Love it.
I mean, so can we. Just
That was
subscribe to it.
That was